The galaxy had seen uprisings before. Rebellions came and went, tyrants rose and fell, but never had an empire trembled at the mention of a single college dropout from Earth. The chaos Jamie Carter created was no longer just rumor, it was a full-blown cultural movement. Planets declared holidays in her name. Merchants carved her face into coins. Children pretended to die dramatically and shout, 17 minutes! Before running off laughing. King Velox could not tolerate it any longer. His empire, built on fear, was crumbling under laughter. For the first time in centuries, he felt desperation. He summoned his advisors, generals, and scientists, slamming a clawed fist into the war table. The human must be destroyed, truly destroyed. No more resurrection, no more mockery. His voice cracked like thunder across the chamber, but the advisors avoided his gaze. One finally spoke. My king. Each attempt has only strengthened her legend. She is worshipped now. Even our soldiers whisper her name before battle. Velox bared his molten teeth. Then I will end this myself. No armies, no generals, just me and her. Word spread instantly because in the galaxy, secrets traveled slower than gossip. By the next sunrise, the challenge had become the greatest event in known history. The king versus the undying human. Crowds from 100 systems descended on the Grand Colosseum, not to cheer their ruler, but to witness Jamie Carter's inevitable return. Jamie wasn't impressed. She was dragged into the arena while sipping something vaguely similar to soda. She squinted up at the massive, roaring crowd. Wow, I feel like I just stumbled into the Super Bowl, only with more tentacles. When Velox appeared, armored in obsidian plates forged in collapsing stars, the audience fell silent. His aura radiated raw terror, but Jamie only tilted her head and muttered, "Cool cosplay, Darth Vader knockoff." The fight began with spectacle. Velox unleashed beams of starfire, storms of antimatter, and weapons that had ended civilizations. Jamie dodged exactly none of them. She was incinerated, atomized, and reduced to ash within seconds. The crowd gasped, waiting the familiar 17 minutes, and then she came back, coughing, disheveled, hoodie singed, flipping off the king. Yeah, that's right, I'm back. What are you gonna do, kill me again? Newsflash, big guy. That trick's getting old. The cycle repeated. Velox smashed her, burned her, shredded her with 1,000 blades. Each time Jamie returned, more sarcastic than before. Oh no, you killed me with your scary glowing sword. Whatever shall I do? Oh wait, I'll just respawn. Be right back. The audience shifted. Where once they feared Velox's power, now they laughed at his futility. Every attempt to kill her only made him smaller, more pathetic. He was the galaxy's tyrant, undone by a girl who refused to stay dead and refused to stop making jokes. And then came the moment of ultimate humiliation. Velox prepared his most devastating weapon, a vortex of collapsing dark matter. The crowd gasped as the arena itself trembled. Jamie, distracted by trying to unwrap a stubborn candy bar, stumbled and tripped. She fell face first into the control panel, triggering a catastrophic feedback loop. The vortex reversed, imploding right on top of Velox. The king roared in disbelief as his own weapon swallowed him whole. In the chaos, Jamie resurrected again, rubbing her head and glaring at the candy bar. Finally got it open. Oh, wait, what happened? Did I win? The arena erupted in cheers. Not just for survival, not just for defiance, but for the absurdity of it all. The galaxy's most feared tyrant had been undone not by a warrior, not by a prophecy, but by a clumsy human with sarcasm and bad luck. The rebellion didn't need orders anymore. Armies rose everywhere, fueled by laughter, by courage, by the belief that if one sarcastic girl could topple a king, anyone could stand against tyranny. Planets declared independence, fleets switched sides, and the empire crumbled in weeks. The rebels crowned Jamie their queen. They dressed her in robes of honor, placed a crown on her head, and knelt before her. Jamie stared at them in horror. Nope, hard pass. I can't even keep a cactus alive. You do not want me running a galaxy. They begged for her wisdom, so she gave them what she had, sitcom advice. Okay, listen. You guys ever watch Friends? No? Great, so rule 1, never date your roommate. Rule 2, always tip your pizza guy. Rule 3, when in doubt, yell pivot while moving furniture. Scribes furiously took notes. Within weeks, these Earth teachings spread like scripture. Alien monks meditated on Friends episodes, searching for hidden meaning. Entire academies debated the philosophical implications of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Military generals added karaoke contests before battle, believing it was the source of Jamie's strength. Galactic culture bent around Earth's weirdest exports, and humanity hadn't even noticed. Jamie, however, finally got her wish. A rebel scientist managed to reverse engineer the portal that had brought her to the Empire. When it finally opened, humming with unstable light, she stepped toward it with relief. Finally, I'm going home. You guys have fun with whatever this is. Just, don't blow yourselves up with sarcasm. That's our thing. The rebels begged her to stay. They wept, they sang, they chanted her name. But Jamie only shrugged. Look, I just want my dorm bed, a working Netflix password, and Taco Bell. Galaxy saving was never on my to-do list. She stepped through, and on Earth, exactly 17 minutes after skipping class, Jamie stumbled into her dorm room. Her roommate glanced up from a textbook. Where the hell have you been? Jamie collapsed onto the bed, hoodie scorched, hair frazzled, muttering, You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Somewhere across the galaxy, empires still trembled. Entire civilizations reshaped themselves in her name. Her legend grew, her stories twisted into myth. But Jamie Carter, she just wanted nachos. And in a distant corner of the universe, a far more advanced species watched. They had been observing all along, far older and more powerful than the Empire ever was. One of them replayed Jamie's viral footage, her sarcastic quips, her clumsy deaths, her impossible returns. Should we contact them? One asked. The others fell silent. Then, unanimously, they answered, Nope, leave that planet alone. The screen went dark, but faintly, somewhere in the stars. You could almost hear it, an 80s anthem blaring, defiant and ridiculous. As humanity's legend took root, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. The girl who died and came back had accidentally conquered the galaxy with humor, stubbornness, and a craving for snacks. And the universe would never recover. The Empire thought it could contain her. They thought throwing Jamie Carter into endless battles, torture chambers, and dungeons would eventually break her. Instead, it broke the Empire. Her cycle of dying and coming back was no longer a curiosity. It was a contagion. Prisoners whispered about her in the dark cells. Merchants in the markets told stories in hushed tones. Soldiers started betting on how many times she'd return in a day. And soon, what began as gossip turned into defiance. Entire colonies revolted, chanting her name like a war cry. Jamie Carter had become the symbol of rebellion, not because she wanted it, but because she simply wouldn't stay down. The irony was, Jamie herself still had no grand plan. She wasn't trying to topple galactic governments. She was just trying to survive and maybe, if luck allowed, find a decent snack. When rebels finally smuggled her out of the gladiator pits, carrying her like some saint of chaos, she groaned the whole way. Guys, seriously, put me down. You're acting like I'm Joan of Arc meets Terminator. But I just tripped into a plasma cannon again. The rebels only nodded, mistaking her complaints for holy riddles. Her deaths had become comedy routines in themselves. She once slipped on a puddle of alien mucus, smacked her head on the floor, and died instantly. 17 minutes later, she sat up, rubbing her head and muttering, Yup, that was my most graceful death yet. Very dignified. 10 out of 10 would recommend. The rebels around her gasped, convinced she had staged it as performance art. Another time, she mistook a glowing gelatin cube for Jell-O. Turned out it was a high-voltage alien battery. Instant electrocution. When she resurrected, the cultists watching from afar fell to their knees and declared, Behold, she consumes the gods' lightning. The galaxy didn't know what to do with her because she didn't make sense. Civilizations built their empires on order, hierarchy, and predictable systems. Jamie was pure unpredictability, an accident wrapped in sarcasm. Soldiers trained for centuries to master combat techniques. She flailed around like a drunk raccoon and somehow managed to take down champions twice her size. Generals studied strategies written on star maps the size of continents. Jamie played tic-tac-toe and convinced everyone it was a human war algorithm. She even started to corrupt the rebels around her with Earth sarcasm. When one towering insectoid warrior declared, Our enemies shall tremble at my name, Jamie snorted and replied, Buddy, I tremble more when my phone battery hits 1%. The rebel blinked, then laughed for the first time in his life. Soon sarcasm became a weapon of the rebellion. Taunts, jokes, and biting wit spread like wildfire, confusing Imperial soldiers who had no training against psychological warfare disguised as bad stand-up comedy. Her banter turned even deadlier when she bonded with the rebels personally. Around campfires and abandoned spaceports, she taught them Earth humor. They laughed at knock-knock jokes they didn't understand, but the laughter itself became rebellion. One night, a soldier asked her what humans feared most. Jamie didn't hesitate. Clowns and student loans. The soldier repeated it solemnly, engraving it onto his blade as if it were an ancient creed. Soon enough, alien graffiti covered the Empire's walls. Painted images of grotesque clowns with captions reading, "Fear this." Then came the warship incident. Velox dispatched one of his most fearsome destroyers, the Dreadfang, to crush the rebels once and for all. Jamie naturally was in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to figure out how to operate a vending machine the rebels had salvaged from a human colony. The machine jammed when she tried to get a pack of Doritos. Frustrated, she kicked it. The whole contraption toppled over a railing and crashed onto the destroyer's exposed reactor vent. The ship went up like fireworks on the 4th of July. When Jamie came back from the blast, 17 minutes later, coughing soot, she had no idea what she'd done. Seriously, I just wanted chips. To the rebels, she had single-handedly taken down a battleship with a mere gesture. To the Empire, she had become something worse than a myth. She was proof that humans didn't fight with strategy or power. They fought with chaos itself, and somehow chaos always won. Word spread to other empires watching from afar. Reports described her as an immortal general who weaponized humor and junk food. Some strategists concluded humans were purposefully hiding their power level, unleashing only one chaotic emissary at a time. Others insisted every human must be like her, resurrecting, mocking, destroying entire fleets without effort. The truth didn't matter. The fear did. The Empire began losing battles, not because Jamie directly fought them, but because her legend fought ahead of her. Soldiers deserted rather than face her. Commanders hesitated, second-guessed orders, or surrendered outright. Armies weren't built to fight something that didn't follow rules, something that kept dying and coming back, mocking them in between. Jamie didn't realize any of this. She was busy trying to explain baseball to an alien rebel leader. No, it's not war. It's a game. Yeah, I know it sounds like combat training, but with more hot dogs. Look, the important thing is you get to yell home run, really loud. The alien scribbled furiously in his notebook, convinced he was learning the tactics of Earth warfare. Her existence alone destabilized the galaxy. Entire economies wobbled because soldiers left the front lines to join the cult of the 17-minuters. Prophets declared the human girl was the herald of a new age. Merchants began selling Jamie charms, little trinkets promising protection through resurrection. Kids imitated her by falling over dramatically and yelling, 17 minutes? Before getting back up, and through it all, Velox fumed. His throne room grew quieter each day as more of his subjects defected. The gladiator crowds no longer cheered his name, they chanted hers. He had tried to make an example of a single human, and instead she had turned into a cosmic joke at his expense. The one thing he couldn't control was laughter, and laughter had become his undoing. The final straw came when Jamie, wandering around the ruins of a battle she'd sort of survived, found a half-destroyed comm system. Out of boredom, she tapped into the Empire's broadcast channel. Suddenly, her voice echoed across half the galaxy. Hey, so this is Jamie Carter. You guys should probably stop fighting because honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Also, shout out to whoever invented vending machines. You're both my best friend and my worst enemy. And yeah, free Earth someday, I guess. Peace out. The broadcast ended. The effect was seismic. Entire planets revolted within hours, convinced she had delivered a divine command. Rebellions burned brighter than ever. The Empire, once ironclad, was now a crumbling joke. Jamie sat down on a crate, munching the only thing she'd managed to pry from the machine, a slightly stale candy bar. She sighed. Man, I really miss Taco Bell. Galaxies are big places. News usually takes weeks, sometimes years, to travel. But Jamie Carter's story? That thing went viral faster than a cat video on Earth. Within hours of her second resurrection, alien gossip networks were ablaze. The human cannot be killed. She returns after 17 minutes exactly. She wields powers from a drink called Mountain Dew. By the time Velox's couriers tried to suppress the story, it was already trending in 13 sectors under hashtags like Your Undying Human and 17-Minute Curse. Jamie, of course, was oblivious. She was too busy wandering the palace kitchens looking for nachos. Do you guys seriously not have cheese? You conquered 9 star systems but no cheese? Uncivilized. The chef, an 8-eyed insectoid, stared in awe, antennae trembling. He would later tell his brood, she criticized the king's pantry and lived. Alien exaggerations, every retelling grew wilder. Some swore Jamie had shrugged off black holes. Others claimed she could regenerate faster if fed Pepsi. One rumor insisted she devoured suns for breakfast. The truth? Jamie was currently teaching a guard how to play tic-tac-toe on the dungeon wall. No, see, you put the X here. Yeah, like that. Congrats, you've lost to me 5 times in a row. Fear my genius. The guard, convinced he had just lost to an immortal war strategist, whispered, she is unbeatable. Pop culture weaponized, Jamie had one advantage the galaxy couldn't comprehend: Earth culture. When Velox tried interrogating her again, she leaned back in her chair and began singing, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Alien technicians panicked, slamming hands over their ears. What is this sonic weapon? It's called Rick Astley, Jamie smirked. And once you've heard it, you can never escape, Velox roared, but Jamie wasn't done. During another session, she quoted Die Hard, yippee-ki-yay, bugface. The guard stared, unsettled. Was that a threat? A prophecy? A curse? And when she pulled out her battered Walkman, salvaged from her abducted backpack, and pressed play, distorted 90s grunge blasted into the chamber. Aliens gasped in horror. One whispered, she carries a portable black hole generator that emits rage frequencies. Jamie bobbed her head to Nirvana. This? Oh, just Earth mood music. Really helps with torture vibes. The Galactic Council debate news reached the Galactic Council, the ruling body of the civilized universe. Alien ambassadors filled the great chamber, tentacles, wings, and holographic projections all squabbling. The human must be destroyed, bellowed the reptilian Kirith. She cannot be destroyed, hissed the crystalline Vena. Every attempt has failed. Then we must negotiate, suggested a timid jelly being. The debate spiraled. Some demanded extermination, others weaponization. One particularly eccentric faction proposed worshipping her. Thus, the cult of the 17-minuters was born. They preached that Jamie's 17-minute cycle was proof of divine order. Their chant spread, 17, return again. 17, defy the end. Meanwhile, Jamie was teaching her guards the Macarena. Left arm, right arm, hip, hip. No, you're doing it wrong. Even toddlers on Earth could do this. To the guards, this was a combat drill of unspeakable complexity. Jamie, oblivious hero. What Jamie wanted most wasn't galactic domination. She just wanted normal Earth stuff. Look, I don't care about your empire. Can someone just get me nachos, a Pepsi, and maybe a working Netflix password? Oh, and deodorant. You guys seriously need deodorant. Her sarcasm was misinterpreted as veiled prophecy. Alien scribes recorded every word. One even began a holy text titled The Gospel of Jamie. Velox's trap enraged by losing face, Velox devised a plan. If Jamie couldn't be killed easily, he would humiliate her publicly. Thus, he threw her into the grand gladiator arena. The crowd roared. 100 alien champions, some with acid breath, others with living armor, surrounded Jamie. The announcer's voice boomed, "Witness the end of the undying human." Jamie squinted at the crowd. Great, Space Thunderdome. And I don't even get a helmet. The arena chaos, the first alien charged. Jamie sidestepped, purely by accident, and the creature smashed headfirst into another. She blinked. Did I just dodge? Didn't even spill my soda. The second challenger spat acid. Jamie held up a random piece of scrap metal like a shield. The acid ricocheted back, hitting 3 others. Holy crap. Jamie muttered. I'm basically playing Mario Kart out here. The crowd gasped. Was she comparing battle to a race of gods? The cycle of death, of course, Jamie wasn't invincible. She died a lot in that arena, crushed by a 6-armed behemoth, vaporized by plasma spears, accidentally fell into a pit of spikes while yelling, I regret nothing. Every time she resurrected after 17 minutes, she popped back up with new commentary. Okay, that one was embarrassing. Do I get frequent flyer miles for this? Someone better be recording, because this is YouTube gold. By the 12th resurrection, the audience wasn't cheering for her death anymore. They were cheering her return. Velox's frustration from his throne, Velox seethed. The spectacle that was supposed to destroy her was backfiring spectacularly. His people were starting to admire the human. Her resilience, her jokes, her sheer refusal to shut up. "This thing is undermining my rule," he thundered. Jamie, dusting herself off after her 17th return, pointed at him and shouted, "Dude, you're losing so many Yelp stars right now!" The crowd erupted in laughter, actual laughter. At the king, the birth of a symbol, by the end of the arena ordeal, Jamie hadn't won in the traditional sense. She was bruised, battered, and had technically died 27 times. But she kept standing back up, and in that persistence she became something more. A symbol. To rebels, she was proof the Empire wasn't unstoppable. To citizens, she was a beacon of hope. To enemies of Velox, she was a weapon. And to Jamie herself, she was just really annoyed she still hadn't gotten nachos. The universe had seen its fair share of tyrants, but King Velox prided himself on being the tyrant. Not just cruel, not just merciless. No, he was dramatic about it. His throne was carved from the melted hulls of defeated warships. His crown, a glowing shard from a collapsed neutron star. And his favorite pastime? Public executions with a little flair. This week's entertainment, torturing some primitive mammal that his raiders had dragged in from the backwater blue planet called Earth. The court expected tears, begging, and eventual silence. Instead, they got Jamie Carter, the hook. Jamie Carter, human disaster. Jamie was 22, a college dropout and proudly sarcastic. Her official last words when shoved into the throne room weren't prayers or curses. They were, "So, do you validate parking here or what?" The aliens murmured. "Not in pain, not in fear." She cracked a joke. Velox sneered, his teeth glowing faintly like molten glass. "You will scream." "Human." Jamie adjusted her hoodie, bright pink, reading "Don't talk to me. I'm watching TV," and shot back, already screaming internally, "Big guy." "College loans, you know." Somewhere in the crowd, a dignitary whispered, "Loans? Is this a form of weapon?" The first death. The king waved his claw, and energy chains tightened around Jamie's arms. A cruel machine descended, a rotating sphere of plasma needles. This was supposed to melt flesh, vaporize nerves, destroy the soul itself. Jamie's commentary never stopped. "Needles? Oh great, intergalactic dentist appointment. Do you at least have laughing gas?" The torture began. Pain racked her body. Plasma burned through skin, and the audience leaned forward for the inevitable wails. Jamie gritted her teeth and muttered through the agony, "Wow, this is still less painful than dial-up internet." 17 minutes later, she collapsed lifelessly. The crowd erupted in cheers. Velox threw his claws up in victory. Another weakling erased from existence. Until Jamie sat up, gasping, eyes wide. "Oh crap, I missed my alarm. Wait. Oh." She looked around at the horrified aliens. Hi. Did I die?" "'Cause that sucked." 17 minutes later, she returned. The silence was absolute. Then pandemonium. One dignitary screamed, "She is undying." Another, "Witchcraft. Sorcery." A third, "Quick, someone check if she is leaking radiation." Velox's glowing eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself, human." Jamie coughed, brushed ash off her hoodie, and said, "Explain what?" "I blacked out, now I'm back. Kinda like Windows 95 after a reboot." The aliens looked at each other, bewildered. "What is Windows 95? Jamie smirked. "Something far scarier than you guys." Alien panic and sarcasm. The royal scientists rushed forward with scanners that hummed, blinked, and beeped dramatically. They discovered no genetic mutations, no hidden tech implants, blood levels, 90% caffeine, 7% sugar, 3% regret. She is ordinary. One scientist wailed, "She is chaos embodied." Another hissed, "She cannot be destroyed." A third whispered. Jamie shrugged. "Relax, guys. It's probably just, I don't know, human metabolism. Or maybe Mountain Dew finally did something useful." The crowd gasped at this strange Earth term. Mountain Dew. Was this the source of her power? The failed imprisonment Velox ordered her locked in the deepest dungeon. Chains of neutronium bound her wrists. The cell walls glowed with antimatter wards. And 3 guards stood watch outside. Jamie sat cross-legged, bored, humming the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. When one guard finally asked, What is this chant?" She smirked. "Oh, just an Earth battle hymn. Legendary. Want me to teach you the Carlton dance too?" Within an hour, Two of the guards were trying to Carlton, while the third wondered if humanity was a species of lunatics. Jamie, meanwhile, discovered that the high-tech plasma spoon left with her lunch could actually short-circuit the lock. She poked at it like she was trying to fix a busted microwave. Sparks flew, the cell door slid open, and Jamie whispered, "Well, that was easier than assembling IKEA furniture." The escape disaster, Jamie crept into the hallways, trying to look stealthy. She wasn't stealthy. "Okay, Jamie," she muttered. "Think, what would Bruce Willis do? Probably crawl in an air duct." She spotted one, kicked the grate, and started climbing. Her hoodie snagged. She cursed. She sneezed. A plasma conduit zapped her. Guards arrived instantly. She panicked, blurted, "Wait, don't shoot! I'm, filming an intergalactic reality show. You guys are killing it on camera!" The guards froze. "Reality show? Yeah, like everyone on Earth is watching." "You're trending! Wave to the camera!" Two guards awkwardly waved. The third muttered, "What is trending?" Jamie bolted, the second death running full tilt. Jamie rounded a corner and smashed straight into a patrolling mech. Its plasma cannon discharged, vaporizing her instantly. The guards shouted in horror, one yelling, "We have killed the immortal! We are doomed!" 17 minutes later, as they tried explaining to their commander, Jamie stumbled back into the hallway, singed, annoyed, clutching her hoodie. "Okay, Al. That one sucked." Who parked a tank in the hallway? Seriously unsafe workplace vibes here. The legend begins words spread across the palace like wildfire. The undying human. The 17-minute curse. The chaos spawn. Alien courtiers whispered rumors. She cannot be slain. She mocks the king openly. She wields weapons called sarcasm and Taco Bell. Meanwhile, Jamie leaned against a wall, chewing the alien equivalent of bubblegum, muttering, "Man, if I don't get nachos soon, I'm going to start a revolution." Velox's resolve, the Galactic King, stared at her from his throne, claws tapping the armrests. For the first time in centuries, fear gnawed at him. He had burned planets, annihilated fleets, enslaved species. But he had never faced something he couldn't kill. The girl was mortal, yet not. Foolish, yet terrifying. Her every death mocked his power. Her every resurrection undercut his rule. He growled, his molten teeth glinting. "This human will break. I will see her beg, and when I end her, it shall be for the last time." Jamie, sitting cross-legged on the floor nearby, raised her hand. "Quick question. Do you guys have Netflix?" "Asking for a friend,"